Thank you very much, Krzysztof. Greg, I may have just one final question. We would like to close this session in the most optimistic possible mood. It's not your first trip to Krakow visit.
No.
So what would be your first impression having come here over this period where you have seen change coming to Krakow? Krzysztof, stay with us for a minute.
Well, the first time I came here was 20 years ago, where I came to write a report for the World Bank about the future of Nowa Huta.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, people had great plans for Nowa Huta in those days.
They still do, I'm told.
I know. But I realized that now what you have created here, and what is so exciting to me, is that you have a vibrant economy that is capable of expressing its own demand and really bringing forward a whole series of developments in and around this city. I'm confident. I'm ambitious for Krakow in the way that I'm ambitious for all the cities that I like. But I think, you know, what strikes me as right is that Krakow has always had beauty, it's always had knowledge, it's always had culture, it's always had nature, it's always had somehow God on its side. But now it's got enterprise, it's got technology, it's got customers, it's got talent, and it's got, you know, endeavor and ambition on its side as well. And I expect to see Krakow become, you know, one of the leading technologically led cities of Europe. And well, it is already, but I expect to see it seize that leadership role over the next 10 and 20 years and become globally recognized as an innovator in this space.
You're one of those few experts who actually talk about cities with the word measure constantly in their mind, so to say. In that context, one last thought. What would you say would be the single most important priority for a city which now has like 8% of the population in a single business sector?
Yeah. Well, the obvious thing is plan for growth systematically. Now, I respect everything Krzysztof said, but I believe you can accelerate the process of partnership with the city government and with the regional authorities. And I think a proper plan for growth that allows you to diversify the locations, improve their quality, and build a more optimal land use and transport system is always the template for moving from a successful second cycle to a brilliant third cycle. And that seems to me to be the next thing for Krakow.
That's a very optimistic note to conclude. Gentlemen, thank you very much for this session. Thank you, Krzysztof. Thank you, Greg. Ladies and gentlemen, time for a much-deserved networking drink. Thank you so much. We'll see you at 6 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, the title of the next session is Why the City Matters to You and Why You Matter to the City. As we discuss companies and the growth of this industry, we realize one very important thing. Cities, in order to be disruptive, innovative or not, also need to have a strong focus. In order to go somewhere, they need to know where they are going. Greg will, well, I've had a chance to listen to him. I've studied him before he came to our conference, and he'll give you a very interesting, also analytical, measurable outlook on why the relationship between man and the city is so important. Greg, the floor is yours. Enjoy.
Lucas, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. So it's not so much about what your city can do for you, it's all about what you can do for your city. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Greg. Can I ask you to remain on stage and...
Sorry?
Could you please take the microphone and approach center stage? We want people to see you really well. Can you take the mic, please?
Sorry, you want me to go where?
Yeah, center stage, please.
Center stage.
Now, let's have a quick, short, little experiment, Greg. Now, look at the audience here. We both know, all of us know, that it's easy for companies to have a focused vision, to understand its goals, because companies measure profits. They measure the benefits they get by acting in a focused fashion. Now, if we were to translate this to cities, now, if we look at the people in the audience and ask one of those people and say, do you know where Krakow is heading? Or what's the most important goal for the next 5 years for this city. Do you think it's important that people should know answers to those fundamental questions? If yes, why?
Well, actually, I think in the cities that succeed, the majority of people know the broad story. They might not know what is next year's priority, but they do know where are we headed generally.
But Greg, wait a second, broad story. 10 years ago, nobody would have told you that this city would be so important internationally in the context of the 3 industries now.
Sure.
So they didn't know that broad stories back then.
But they would have known that the city wanted to utilize its natural assets of education, highly skilled labor force, and quality of place to create something. They didn't know what it was. Now they can see what it is. The next cycle is more predictable because you're not starting from scratch. You're starting with a whole series of companies that are here. Brilliant entrepreneurs are here. Fantastic technology is here. Talented people are here. Figuring out a story about the next cycle, and in fact, you've heard a lot of it today, I think is a key task in telling that story. But don't check if everybody knows it. It's whether they feel that there's a story that really matters.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Greg Clark.
Thank you.